Alright, I told you I'd make a turtle care video, and I am. First off, I apologize for the noise. I have a filter, and it's quite noisy. I have this done in all parts, so here's my list of things that I think are kind of important. It's messy, I know, but the first thing is I want to say that turtles aren't carefree. You have to put a fair amount of work into them. Not like a ton, but a little. I'll get more into it later. If you have a fish tank or have had a fish tank, it's pretty much like a fish tank. You also have to feed it. Yeah. You gotta feed it. So the first thing is what you want. Oh, okay. The first thing is you're gonna need a tank. Now, different turtles need different sized tanks. Male or female need different sized tanks. I have a male painted turtle. He's fairly small. So I don't need a huge tank, but I will be getting one as soon as I'm living on my own. The general rule, and look it up for different species, but it's in every inch of shell, and I'm pretty, it's along the long way, there's you need 10 gallons. So I have him in a 40 gallon with a big footprint, which means the base is big. I think it's 4 feet by 2 feet, but it's only like 2 feet tall. I like it. It is a small tank for him. I think he'll need. I think he's about 5 inches, so he should have a 50 gallon. But yeah, and from what I've heard, it doesn't matter how much water. I probably have 30 gallons of water. That doesn't make it a 30 gallon. It's still a 40 for the shell measurement size. I'd suggest, some people say it makes the turtles uncomfortable. I'd suggest early on having a bigger tank so you don't have to get one later. Maybe not a crazy size, but maybe start out with a 30, or because you're not gonna want to buy a different one and change everything. You'll just leave it at half fill, and then you'll fill it up more as they get bigger. You don't want it too big, I'm pretty sure. And you also don't want the water too shallow. You do not want, I think you want double of their shell height. So it's something like this. You'll look it up, but I'd want it at least that high. So he could flip over, or something like that. Because if you have a real small amount of water in a big turtle, they can possibly get flipped upside down, and it's weird it depends on what you have, but I've heard that they can't get back up. It's hard for them to get back up in shallow water. I'm not sure. Yeah, so what do you want to do in the future? Do you want to have fish in there? Because if you're gonna have fish, it's easier to start off when they're little with fish than it is to just throw them in when they get big. I threw these guys in when he got big, maybe about a month ago. And there was 5, and now there's 3. He's been getting them. He's kind of ignored them a little, which is good. Eventually I'm gonna put convict cichlids in. And those will hold their own against them. They'll breed. They'll be beautiful. This tank isn't big enough for that though. But like I said, I'm getting a bigger one. Right there's a PVC decoration. Plants. Plants is another big thing. If you want plants, I'd suggest putting them in. Okay, yeah, so plants, I suggest if you're gonna want to plant a tank, put a little bit of plants in when they're babies, give them a little shelter. I'm growing out some plants so I can put them in here. Not sure though, I gotta figure that one out. It will happen. but I don't want to cramp his tank up too much. Another big thing is lifespan. If you get a turtle, I got this guy when, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago? 7 to 9 years ago, I got him. And he's still going strong. Some turtles could live 20 years. Most turtles, I think that's about their span, 18 to 20 years, I'm thinking. Tortoises, longer. It depends on the turtle. And turtles are most turtles are semi-aquatic. You're gonna need water and land. Tortoises are, they're dry. It depends on the species, but tortoises aren't for swimming. Don't throw a tortoise in a big tub of water, please. And don't keep a turtle in a semi-aquatic turtle in a desert, in a tortoise habitat. There's a big difference. Different turtles. What I suggest you do before you go buy a turtle is look at what turtle you want. I'd say the smaller is probably better. You don't want a giant turtle. I mean, little turtles are just as cool and they're easier to maintain. What is it? Watch a lot of videos, pictures. Look up pictures and videos of people's turtle tanks, so you know what you want. You'll see a cool big tank with an island in the middle for them to crawl around in, and that's what you really want. That's kind of what I like. I also, yeah, but well, okay. Some of the things you hear about is salmonella. That's not really a problem. All you got to do is wash your hands. Don't drink the turtle water. Just, it's general rules. No kissing turtles. You can still handle a turtle. Aggression. Some turtles are aggressive. Mine actually has bit me a couple times because I don't play with them. I used to when I was little. Now I just mess with his tank. But he's fine sometimes, and then sometimes he's cranky and he'll bite me. They have an issue with letting go once they bite you. He stuck to me for like 20 minutes. Really hard to get him off. Yeah, well, he pulled himself off, and it hurt. It's not normally a problem as long as you're not an idiot and stick your hand in there without looking at your hand. I was putting a filter on. He wasn't watching. What else? Smell? Turtles don't smell. Well, they do. When turtles smell, it's either because the water is stagnant, which means it's not moving, which means you need more filters or like an air stone or something breaking the surface. Usually the turtles do it themselves, but or you don't have enough filter. If you don't have enough filter power, carbon, I think activated carbon, I think that's what that's for. That's in most filters. If you don't know what that is, it's the charcoal. But yeah, I haven't had a tank smell. We put a big turtle in it. Alright, so when we were little, here, I'll go close up. When we were little, we found a big turtle and we put him in a 10-gallon. And that didn't work very well. I mean, he wasn't giant, but he was a bigger turtle, and we were used to the small turtles. So that smelled because it had like a 20-gallon filter. Yeah, it didn't work. Not enough filter, not enough water. It smelled. But I've never had a problem with this one smelling. Unless you like stick your nose right above it. I mean, it smells just as much as my fish tank, and that's because there's the water conditioners and stuff. It doesn't smell much. Decorations, you want to watch out for anything that's sharp. You want to smooth down things, like I smoothed down those pots and punched big holes in them so he doesn't get his head stuck. Because if you think he can do it, he'll do it. I mean, they can climb pretty high. That's why I keep the water always below the point where he could grab it, stick his arms out and grab the lid, because he will find a way to pull himself up. He'll try to climb up cords. He's never done it. He used to climb up the mesh in the back of there. Now I have plexiglass on the front and a top on so he doesn't get out anymore. But yeah, they're clever. They're not stupid by any means. Well, sometimes they're stupid. They'll you'll have to do water changes. Now it depends. I usually know when the bubbles, I probably should do a water change. Suck out some water and put some more in, just a small, like 50%, 25. Just take a bucket out and put 2 buckets in. And then with substrate, you'll need to clean that every now and then. I'll tell you about different substrates. Or my experiences. This is all my experience. Some of this is I've looked up a lot. I'm by no means a pro. Get a water changes and then scrub the algae. That's basically it. Scrub the algae off decorations, rocks, stuff like that. As you can see, I got a little bit of algae in the back. It actually looks worse on camera because I didn't see it up until now. I do have a background on. It's falling off. I need to redo that. Sorry about the shake. Lighting. I'd say plenty of light. He loves his basking area. You need a UVB bulb. This is my UV. It's either I think it's a UVA. You need UVA, and then I think UVB is optional, and then you need a heat lamp, and I have a 40-watt heat lamp that keeps it pretty warm. He basks quite a bit. He basks, whatever. You also need, this is really important because some people don't figure this, but you need somewhere for him to get out of the water, whether it's a home-built thing like this. This didn't take me very long to build the bulk of it. It took me long to paint it and plexiglass it, but that's because I'm OCD. Or one of these. This is his old one. As you can see, he's like half the size of it now. This works fine for baby turtles. I mean, I like how he has room to climb around. He does climb around quite a bit. He also climbs over that stick. It's always moved somewhere else. It was a piece I was going to use for driftwood, but it got all slimy, so I put it in there. And, yeah, he likes climbing over that. No, oh, that's not good. You have to watch out for some things. Like, you just have to be careful. Like, this was actually on the edge, and I didn't want that falling onto there and knocking this into the tank, and it'd have been a mess. But, not hard. Like, I moved it yesterday, but for a while I had this big piece of slate, you see? And it fit pretty much perfectly right there where that pot was, and right here. But the issue with that was, part of the reason I went for sand is he likes diving off right here, and I'll dive and then he'd hit the rock. And I didn't want him nicking his shell or getting cut open because it's kind of sharp, so I just took it out. There was also a lot of crap under it, so I took it out. I gave him a little more space, not much, but for filter, you're gonna want double or triple the gallons. If you got fish like mine, you want triple or more, probably, I'd say, because these actually, the only kind of crap I have in here is goldfish crap, because goldfish crap everywhere. I have, this is rated for 30, I think that's rated for 30, and I think This is 30 to 60, and it came with a 55. So I have a lot of filter in here. Better safe than sorry. Maintenance on the filters, you're going to need to change the filters. If you want to buy something, you don't have to... You do pads and then you wash them out and change them every now and then. Now watch out, biological. There's good bacteria in turtle along with fish tanks. It's not hard, but don't change too much. Don't like... It grows in the sand, the substrate, and the filters is where it mostly is. Don't like take all your... change all your filters, take all the sand out, take everything out, and just leave the tank because... And scrub down the tank because then you'll have no bacteria in it anymore. It'll have to cycle again, which means it'll have to build up all the stuff. Now, substrate. You do not want gravel. This is a big argument whether they can or can't eat gravel. If it's big enough for their mouth to go around, they will. They'll eat anything. I mean, if you have a smart turtle, it might not. If you have a dumb turtle, it might. But they have their days and they'll eat their gravel. Now, it's a controversy whether it actually jams their intestines or their digestive tract, and it could kill them. I know it has happened. I've seen x-rays of it. It doesn't happen much, I don't think, but I'd just stay away from it. Better safe than sorry. I've never had gravel. I've had gravel in my fish tank, but other than that, I have sand right now, and it's very fine play sand. I probably should have got thicker because this stuff gets in the air in the water quite fast. But if he eats a little bit of this, it'll pass right through. It's really fine. You could also have river rocks. I've had those, and those I didn't like because see how they got algae on them? When you have a lot of them, you have to scrub the algae off, and it like peels, and then you have to scrub it with like toothbrush or dump it in the driveway and squirt it off with a hose. And you have to lug around like 100 pounds of, or like 50, I think I had about 50 pounds of rock, and then you have to bring them back up and put them back in the tank, and I didn't like it. I think that's how I cracked my 20, is a rock fell, like, when I was putting rocks in, it hit the back wall and cracked it. I'm not sure, but I think that's how. I didn't like it. Stuff got under there, it didn't come back out. I like, the sand's not bad. It held stuff on top pretty well. Bare bottom, you can do it. I don't like the look. It really doesn't look good to me. It does work well for keeping the crap floating around. You'll have to work on dead spaces. That's why I have all these filters, is because you can see that's where all the stuff is, right? I'll show you everywhere else there's nothing. Because that's where this filter's blown here, this filter's blown here, and that filter's blown there. So nothing's blowing on this. But you'll have to tinker with it. Currents, you're gonna wanna, depending on the type of turtle you have, painted turtles I think are generally calm water, so most of it's calm. There's a little area up front where it's almost like a power head, but it filters, and the internal fans. And he likes swimming in that quite a bit. It'll give him exercise. Putting things in their tank gives him exercise. Driftwood, which I want, but I haven't got it yet. They'll rub their backs against it to scrape off the shell pieces, and it's really important that you don't peel off the shell pieces because they're supposed to shed them naturally. I mean, if it looks bad, like I've seen ones that look like like shells went through grinders and stuff, take a picture and go on a forum or something and see. But most of the time you don't pull them off. They just, sometimes they have bad sheds. I don't think I've ever had him have a bad shed. Lighting, you want plenty of lights. Yeah, I already went through that. I'm thinking about putting some shrimp as soon as they'll breed. They're in that tank. In there with them, seeing how those will work. I'm pretty sure you can. Food, I feed them all different kinds of things. I feed them the sticks, the food sticks. I haven't mixed in with the food balls because I didn't have much left. I feed them krill treats sometimes. Sometimes he eats the flake food for the fish. If you want to look up all the different kind of plants and stuff you can give them. Now, I've been warned that iceberg lettuce, no iceberg lettuce, you could do red lettuce or something. I'm not sure about red lettuce, but no iceberg lettuce because it's addictive and all it is water, so it has no protein or anything. I'll give them strawberries, grapes. I'm pretty sure these things are safe, but I'd look it up just to be sure. Worms, I'd watch out for worms because you don't want to get ones that have weed killer and everything in there. If I have some from fishing, I'll put them in there. Minnows and stuff. Feeder fish aren't as good for your turtle. They're dirty. They're not. It's like catfish. Catfish is grimy. It's still good, but you don't want them eating too many of those. It's not good for them. Pellets, I'd stick with pellets and then give them different varieties of things. I'll give them celery. He really likes celery. Likes aquatic plants. They'll tear into those. I have a book and it says dandelion leaves. Make sure you wash everything, not with soap. Just hot water, cold water. Don't put anything from a lake or river in. What I mean by that is, my grandma lives on the lake, and I got a bunch of plants, and I'm like, this is awesome. I got a trash sack full of, I got a shopping sack full of plants, and I put them in water, and I was getting ready to put them in, and I look in there, and there's bugs everywhere. Now you can, I'd watch a video on how to do driftwood if you want to do driftwood. You can boil it or pour boiling water over it. That usually gets rid of all the bad stuff. But again, no releasing turtles into the wild. It can give wild turtles diseases and screw with them, and it can screw with your turtle. Your turtle's probably not going to live. Don't let it stay outside in a tank. I had a kid that I knew, and he thought it was funny. His dad left his turtle outside and it froze. About hit the kid. They're not popsicles. They don't need froze. Keep them inside. I keep mine at room temperature. He seems to do okay with that. I might get a heater sometime. But, yeah. You might want to look up what certain turtles need different temperatures. Again, and I'd say if you're getting a turtle, I wouldn't go with the generic pet store ones, or I'd look it up because there's some really interesting turtles. And if I was to get a turtle, I'd get one that's say small. So algae, fish, turtle. Yeah, I told you about shell rot. Turtles need to dry out completely once a day, I think it is. It depends on the turtle, but basking turtles do. Yeah. You want to give them plenty of free swim room, but you also want things on the bottom to climb around. Like, see how the pot, He could still swim clear over the pot without any problem, but he could climb around on it looking for fish and stuff. Even though they never go in there, he always looks. It's not hard. If you're gonna change the water, you're gonna need something to do it. We used to use a wet dry shop vac because when I had rocks, I had to drain all of the water. But I got this tubing. Alright, yeah, so I have that hose to siphon out water for water changes, and it does it really fast. And I have 2 buckets to put water in. You're also gonna want, what? Oh, I got this towel. This is a little crappy towel. This is for whenever I get my hands wet, I'll dry it off on there because I don't like having wet hands all the time while I'm messing with the tanks. So that's another helpful thing to have. Make sure turtles aren't hard to care for. As long as you give them their general needs. You want to watch overfeeding. Depends on the turtle, but they can get fat. And it's really bad for them because it starts messing with their shell, curling up their shell, and then they have females have bigger bulges on the back for the eggs and stuff, but males don't. If you have a female, you'll need an egg box. If you have a female and a male, you'll need an egg box, or else nothing will happen. They'll just lay them in the water and they'll mess up your water. They can get eye infections, so you want to watch that. They can get chips out of their shell. Shell rot, it's white, I think. They can also get fungus, and I've never had any problems with him. He has a little purple mark on his head, but I think that's just part of his markings. He scraped up his nose a little, but I just let that heal. I put sand in it, and I think it cushioned it. So I'm actually not sure if they need to climb around, but if you want to make something like this, I highly encourage it. It's not a hard thing to do. I think it makes them really happy. Just having that little area. Now, if you have a cat, watch out, because my cat's sat there waiting for him a couple times. Not like my cat could do anything because my cat's fat, and yeah. But actually, a good way I've seen people make these is a Tupperware container, and then they cut a slit on the side, and then they just pull it down and make a ramp out of it. I use plastic from an old hose box and PVC, and then I had to put tape on here because there was too big of a gap and he got his legs stuck in there once. So, yeah. Don't get anything toxic in your water. It's not hard. I'm just telling you all the things so you can pay attention and make sure. Because if he does have a problem, you could treat it right away. They have eye drops and all kinds of things. If you don't, you're going to need a calcium treat probably. Something so he could get his calcium. Bones from fishes work. Not much, but the UVB helps his shell, and so does the calcium, because they need a lot of calcium for their shells. Yeah, not hard. I mean, if you're OCD about it and you want a perfect, awesome tank, it's going to be difficult, but you're going to love the product. And you'll be the coolest one out of your friends to have the turtle tank. Kids love them. They really love the fact that he tries to bite your hands through the glass. They just cannot fathom it for some reason. Well, kids and my friend Seth, who's 17, but yeah, everybody loves them. If you have kids, feeding them goldfish might not be a little graphic, because if you watch a video, they'll eat, yeah, they'll just rip them to shreds. Like, bite them in half kind of thing. So, You might not want the kids to watch that. Yeah. Wash your hands after touching them. Figure out what you want. Figure out what kind of turtle you want. Oh, he's going for a goldfish. They're really active, or pretty active. Don't put them by a doorway or anything, somewhere of high traffic, like a playroom or something. No, you don't want to scare them all the time. I put them up in my room. They're real skittish, especially when they bask. So see ya. Running out any time now. So yeah.